People should recall that the Iran deal was controversial in Iran itself because there are elements within the Iranian government and Iranian society that saw it as a way for the West to actually weaken Iran and weaken Iran's position within this global chessboard that we now are seeing play out around Israel, that Iran has known was always the war that they were preparing for decades.
Jawad Zarif was very close to the West and trying to promote the relationship between Iran and the West. Now, this kind of relationship is not bad for Iran. Nevertheless, Jawad Zarif went an extra mile in trusting the West.
You can't separate what is happening from in Iran and in Syria from what is happening in Gaza. This is all one war. So to look at Gaza as a vacuum is really to live in a fantasy land. This war is part of a war that Israel has been fighting since its founding to establish what it views as greater Israel in the region.
In 2003, the US invaded Iraq to occupy it. And the next online was Syria, and Lebanon, and then Iran. These are not my analyses. These are the US General Wesley Clark, the four-star general, who was the commander of European forces, who said that this is what the Pentagon told him.
The reality is so many Israelis have already fled, left Israel, even before this Iranian strike because of the attacks from Hezbollah and Hamas, and they don't ever plan on going back. Israel's economy is already suffering to a degree that I think a few years from now, we will see this war had already defeated Israel, perhaps even before the Iranians retaliated. Israel is weaker than ever.
Iran surprised everybody on Saturday. Now, the Americans, the next day, it's like we hit down 99% of their projectiles. But they missed all ones that hit targets linked to the Iranian consulate. I mean, it's really astounding. This is a military ballet.
I think a lot of people were saying, well, they didn't destroy an airfield. They didn't destroy an Israeli headquarters. They didn't kill hundreds or thousands of Israelis. They weren't intending to. All the Israelis have to do is look at a map, look where the Iranian missiles hit, and understand that the Iranians hit that which they were aiming at, and there was nothing Israel could do to stop those missiles from reaching their target.
Know that we can hit you here. Know that we can hit you there. Know that we can take your ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
I call it one of the greatest military demonstrations in modern history. Well, and the beauty of this is they didn't use their best missiles.
Look how the Iranians have beefed up the entire region. Look how they've kitted them out. Look how they've kitted the entire region out. Anti-ship ballistic missiles. What? Yeah. Surprise, surprise. ATGMs, anti-tank guided missiles. Look at Hezbollah today. How did Hezbollah get to this point from 10 years ago, 20 years ago? That's because of Iran. So the Iranians know what they're doing, and the Israelis hate it so much. They hate it so much that they behave like this. They go and bomb the embassy because they just cannot get around it. They want a direct confrontation, and Iran keeps saying no, no.
Israel's losing the bigger war. Remember, the other thing Iran doesn't want to do is distract attention away from the fact that Hamas is winning, that Hamas has turned global opinion against Israel, that the world is now talking about a Palestinian state in ways that they had never done before. A larger war between Israel and Iran, distracts people from that goal, and Iran doesn't want that. Iran understands that the axis of resistance together with Hamas was in the process of strategically defeating Israel, and that's the fight they want to fight.
I know people want Iran to go into war. We all know that Netanyahu is probably praying, if he has a God, every day for that, because, like Iran, the pariah, we are here to fight Iran because, Israel, the whole presence of Israel is just a United States of America militarized, radicalized, bunch of people built here, and they are built to like harbor their interests, of colonizing us basically. And who is standing against that colonization in this region? It's Iran. So I think like the best raison d'être for Netanyahu today is to fight Iran. I think so, because nobody can, although the Americans are backing him and everybody is backing him in his genocide of the Palestinian people, nobody can openly say that, but they can openly give him more ammunition and more help because he's fighting Iran that doesn't allow people to put veils.
Yeah.
So killing children is allowed, you know, in the Middle East, but
that's fine.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple of years ago the Western attempt to foment a kind of women's rights regime change movement inside Iran that frankly fell fairly flat. You know, I spent 2 weeks in Iran, basically traveling through different cities, different regions, speaking to people at the time that the West was fomenting this women's rights movement after the death of Mahsa Amini, not by the brutality of the security forces, but actually in a hospital. Of course, that has been completely eradicated from Western media in their haste to publish false information, which is not unusual.
We believe that a lack of action will embolden the Islamic Republic to actually come back more stronger.
So you think that Israel should respond militarily and strongly by what? Striking military targets within Iran?
You know, it's not on me. It's on the Israeli government to make decision. But of course, I don't want my people to be hurt. But targeted military action against the high-ranking member of Revolutionary Guards actually made a lot of Iranian people to celebrate the killings of the commanders.
There it is. Attack my country.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when the U.S. assassinated Qasem Soleimani, I mean, everyone saw the footage. Those massive crowds in Iran came out to mourn him, not celebrate his murder. But that's who gets put on CNN, is someone who will lie through their teeth to advocate more aggression.
You'd know that Iranians don't want war with Israel. We want peace with Israel. Iranian people inside of Iran have come out and said,
see, do you see this? She's pro-Israel. Listen to her. She thinks Israel's the victim. This is the Iranian feminist movement. She represents the Iranian feminist movement. She represents the Iranian, the Iranian human rights movement. She represents the opposition to the Islamic Republic, and she supports Israel. If you tell me that, oh, I don't support the Islamic Republic, I support the Palestinians, but I don't support the Islamic Republic, I support the protests against them, well, you're supporting Zionists, because this woman's a fucking Zionist. She thinks October 7th is the crime, not the occupation of Palestine, not the bombardment of Gaza. She thinks that the Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves. She doesn't want anyone to oppose Israel. She wants peace with Israel. She wants everyone to just be fine with what Israel does to the Palestinians. She's a Zionist. Thank you. I really appreciate this, because I am so tired of people trying to both sides this.
Then just come out and say that with your whole chest. Say you support the Islamic Republic in their continued aggressions that put every...
I do support the Islamic Republic in standing up for the Palestinians, in standing up for the Yemenis, in standing up for the Iraqi Shia community, in standing up for the Syrian Arab Republic and the Syrian Christians and the Syrian Alawites and the Syrian majority against ISIS. I support the Islamic Republic in standing with Venezuela and bringing food to Venezuela when the USA puts crippling sanctions on Venezuela and tries to starve their people. I support the Islamic Republic in supporting Cuba against the criminal American blockade. I support the Islamic Republic in standing with the Irish freedom struggle. How else should I support the Islamic Republic? I support the Islamic Republic in building schools and electrifying Iran. I support them in building highways and industrializing Iran. I support them in standing and cooperating with China. I support them in cooperating with Russia. I support them in a lot of different ways. I support the Islamic Republic of Iran because they are fighting the imperialists, and you are an imperialist Zionist bootlicker.
Where the West always underestimates its enemy is in the power of a resistance ideology.
We have to keep in mind this is a country that has suffered more than 4,600 sanctions starting from the day one of the Islamic Revolution, and we're talking about the era of President Jimmy Carter. Iran has reduced the gap between the devaluation of the two men from 71% to 46%. I mean, in Turkey, it is 68%, the inflation.
Iran will be in BRICS because of the leadership of Ibrahim Raisi.
And he's supposedly the most hated president that Iran has ever had. But if you look at the millions that have poured onto the streets of Iran, not only in Tehran, but in all the cities, in all the villages, in all the towns across Iran, to basically pay their respects and to mourn the loss of their president.
We couldn't be talking about where we are today with the promise of a Palestinian state, the hope of a Palestinian state, without the efforts of Iran. And again, Iran in the last couple of years has been led by Ibrahim Raisi, who has overseen the Iranian response to Israel's genocidal behavior in Gaza. And, you know, one of the byproducts of this are two European nations, late, but still coming to the game, expressing their support for the creation of a Palestinian state. All of this is because of the leadership of Ibrahim Raisi.
The Constitution, Article 151, 153, that Iran supports all the oppressed people around the world, Muslim or non-Muslims. This is why Iran went to Venezuela.
I take the theocracy of Iran seriously, meaning that I respect the fact that they are religious and that they take their religion seriously. It doesn't mean that I agree with what they do, etc. I just respect the fact, just like I respect the Pope. I view the Iranian leadership in the same way. I believe that they are very sincere, very devout, in terms of the practice of Shia theology.
Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas in Gaza, said overtly, Iran is supporting us financially and is supporting us with all the weapons that we need that can be brought into Gaza, and never ask us to do anything in return. The only country that didn't ask us anything in return. How can the Palestinians today drop Iran or Iran drop the Palestinian?
Long live the resistance, long live Iran, and long live the Islamic Republic. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.